These 5 hair care habits will ruin your hair. Okay, if you're new to me, my name is Justin Hickox, and I've been doing hair since 1995 professionally. And I'm about to share 5 things that I'll tell you right now, nobody talks about. None of the videos you've seen so far, not your hairstylist, not your friends. No one is telling you about these particular things, well, most of them, and they're important. They make a huge difference. They're things that I learned in my career over having clients come in over and over and over and realize, wait a minute, this is what's causing that damage, not what we thought it was. Get ready because we're about to share some stuff. Okay, the first habit that is just ruining your hair is your purse strap. It basically, what nobody pays attention to is that one of the biggest stresses on hair is actually friction. It's what causes friction against your hair. Now, if you add friction to hair that's already previously been damaged, and let's be honest, most of our hair is damaged on some level. Most people are doing either chemical services, or they're using hot tools without heat protectants, or they're out in the sun, or maybe their nutrition is off because that can actually damage your hair. Yes, nutrition plays a role. Inward health is a big player in your hair's health as well, so keep that in mind. But most people are struggling with some sort of kind of damaged or compromised hair. Many people stack a lot of stuff in that purse. You got all sorts of good things in that purse, and now that purse weighs 477 pounds, and you're strapping it over your shoulder. But where's your hair? In many cases, your hair is going right under that strap. That means that that strap is rubbing against your hair the entire time that you're walking around carrying your bag like that. Now, is one time going to destroy your hair and end up making your hair break off? Probably not. So pay attention to where you are in your strap, or pay attention to moving your hair out of your strap to make sure that your hair is not somehow cut under that and causing it friction and potential damage. Number 2, let's piggyback off that a little bit. Have you ever felt like your hair just doesn't get longer? Like you've been trying to let it grow, it's down in the middle of your back, but it just won't get longer than that, and you can't figure out why. Well, have you ever considered where you're sitting, or more importantly, how you're sitting? So most of us sit in a chair during the day, especially if you're working in an office. You sit in your chair and then you do your work, and then what happens? You go home, you find yourself sitting on the couch, right? In all these different scenarios, you spend a lot of your day sitting, and many times with your back against something. Well, if you're not paying attention to where your hair is landing on your back, a lot of times we're also sitting on fabrics that are not smooth, right? My chair is actually pretty smooth here, but still that's enough friction to actually just kind of slough the ends of your hair off. So if you're leaning back against your chair and your hair is constantly over your shoulders and back and rubbing against the back between your back, your clothes, and your chair, that little bit of manipulation can also be a huge damage to your hair, and it can ruin your hair over time. And it could be a large part of the reason that you feel like your ends are just being kind of broken off, or kind of sanded off almost, if you will, and they never have the chance or the ability to get enough strength to get longer. So pay attention to maybe bringing your hair forward when you sit down so that you're not rubbing up against it, and that will give your hair a little bit of a break and help your hair get a little bit more strength, and maybe be the reason that your hair sees a little bit more length. Okay, number 3 is pulling it back into a tight ponytail. Here's the thing, many times we find ourselves pulling your hair back because it's just easier to get it out of your face. Maybe you're working out, or maybe you're working with your head facing down towards your desk and you don't like your hair falling into your face, or whatever it may be. But pulling your hair back into a ponytail is not a problem. Pulling your hair back into a tight ponytail, especially with the wrong hair tie, that's the problem. So here's the thing, you're taking all of your hair and you're pulling it back into this really tight ponytail, and you're using this very small rubber band, or a smaller rubber band. That means that there is a lot of friction on a very small surface area. A smaller rubber band has a smaller surface area than, say, a larger rubber band, or a larger kind of scrunchie or hair tie. And so when you take your hair and you pull it back into that tight ponytail with that small little rubber band, you're adding a lot of friction to a small area. But then what happens throughout the day? Well, it gets looser, right? Because that's just what happens. So what do? You grab that ponytail, you give it 2 strong tugs, and you tighten the snot out of that damn thing. What do you think that does? Well, it just adds more friction in the same area against those little outer layers of hair that are on the outside of that ponytail. And this is just extra friction that's extra damage potential, and potentially even long-term extra breakage. So using a larger hair tie with more surface area will help that a lot. But ideally, actually not pulling your hair back more than you have to is kind of the better route. But with that said, I do understand that it's just not feasible to not pull your hair back, so that does make sense. So just use a larger hair tie in those situations and try to make it a little bit looser if you can. And if your hair still seems to fall back, then maybe try 2 bobby pins in the front to kind of keep it back off your face, and that can go a long way. And then just save the little bit of a tighter ponytail for a little bit more of a specific look, so you're not doing that as your fail-safe. Okay, number 4 is combing your hair out all wrong, and this will ruin your hair. Now, here's the thing. If you got in the shower, you shampooed your hair, you gave it this great conditioner, maybe you even did a deep conditioning treatment, right? You jump out of the shower, you get your hair blotted out, and then you go to comb your hair out because, you want to comb any of those potential tangles out. Well, then you find yourself a tangle, and what do? You start ripping at that tangle, trying to get that tangle out. Well, that is a quick way to find yourself in a world of hurt. Now, you gotta remember that when our hair is wet, it's kind of at its most fragile point. So we really want to be careful and at least mindful of how we approach it while it's wet. So the way you appropriately do this is to get a large tooth comb, and you start at the very bottom and you work your way up the hair shaft, and you'll slowly start to comb those tangles out. Now, if you don't have a large tooth comb or a wide tooth comb, you can use a brush. There are some great brushes. The wet brush is one of my favorite. It's very inexpensive, and it is incredible at combing through hair. And one of the reasons I like it is because it does have a lot of flex in those bristles so that they don't grab onto something and snag it so much. They kind of leisurely just lightly take that out and comb at it until it eventually just comes out. Okay, number 5 is the biggest one, hands down. It's the most common one I see. It is the number kind of one habit that is absolutely ruining your hair. And if you spent any time around the channel, then you have heard me talk about this before, and I will talk about it again, directing the airflow at the wrong place. When you are drying your hair, it is so, I'm not even gonna say it's important, it's vital. It's absolutely vital that you direct that airflow in the right direction. And if you direct it in the wrong direction, you're doing two things. At your very best, you're adding frizz. At the worst, you could melt your hair. Now, when I tell you that I have seen worse breakage in my chair at the salon on a client from misuse of a blow dryer and a round brush than misuse of a flat iron or using a flat iron, that's not a lie. 100%. I actually had one client that came in and swore up and down that the shampoo or conditioner that I used the previous time was breaking her hair because she had this big patch right at the top of her hair. This is no joke. This is true story. Big patch on top of her head that was broken. It was this long. She said, whatever you used last time, the conditioner you used, I used a special conditioner, that broke my hair off. I said, honestly, there's no possible way I could do that. I mean, it would be kind of like me saying that the water I put on you made you dry. It just doesn't happen. Finally, it wasn't even that time. It was the next time that she came in that she shared with me that she had realized in reality broke her hair. And it was what I suspected. It was the fact that when she put a blow dryer in her hair, she would put a blow dryer and a round brush right here on top, and she would grab that blow dryer and hold it right here. That air is directed directly at her hair, and it's intersecting her hair like this. And that is a recipe for disaster. That was what broke her hair off, because blow dryers nowadays get so hot that if you don't direct the airflow appropriately, it can be exceptionally dangerous. Now, change that habit to blow drying your hair and making sure that that airflow is directed down your hair shaft. Not only will this be less damaging, it will cause less frizz. It will cause your hair to be smoother and shiner because it helps to actually smooth down that cuticle, which helps to create the illusion of shine. And overall, your hair will be healthier. So win, 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 and all the wins. There you go. So that, my friend, is a list of 5 habits that are dramatically ruining your hair. And if you switch them around and stop doing them or paying more attention to them, your hair will thank you. You will thank your hair. You probably will thank me for telling you about that. And then your hair will be so much better. You're welcome. All right. I appreciate you hanging out. Those are my tips, but I'd love to hear what you think. So go ahead and comment below. Tell me if you have any tips that have helped save your hair or things that you've learned that were ruining your hair. Share them with the community. Share them with me. I always like to learn from my audience, just like you like to learn from me. By the way, if you have not already, just do me a big solid. There is a subscribe button. It's right there. It's completely free. It does help the channel. And more importantly, there's like a little like button. So click the little thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Because if you liked it, you should, yay, those things. YouTube stuff. I'll see you next Tuesday. You have a fantastic week. See you then. Take care now. Bye.